Guardians 3 time.
It is Guardians 3 time.
Guardians 3.
Number trio. The twa. We're looking at the twa. Okay.
Hello, man.
Hello,
How
mate.
are you?
I'm alright. How are you, my dear friend?
I am dandy as a little dandelion, sitting on the floor waiting for his friends.
Oh,
That's me, mate. That is me.
that is beautiful.
How's your week been?
Don't ask. Next.
Fantastic. Maybe
No,
that's
it's
something
good.
we can unpack in the bonus episode for Friday.
Yeah, we'll save that for later. All I could say is that I've just got a great big bottle of whiskey here.
Oh,
I'm about to pour it and have a few glasses, if you don't mind me, mate.
Christ.
If you don't
Oh,
mind
mate.
me.
Why was I not informed of this?
It's because that was the surprise. That's a measure and a half. Look at the level of that. Let's go.
What is it?
Okay, so I've got Old Pulteney. I think I've said it right. Old Pulteney. It's a Scotch, 12 years aged, malt Scotch whiskey. It's tip top. It's peaty. It's my go-to really, and I got it for my birthday. Haven't had whiskey in a while.
Oh, mate.
Now I'm getting back on it.
I think I might. I've got Ballycastle, Bailey's, to be quite honest, downstairs. So I was going to have some of that for St. Patrick's Day, which was yesterday.
It was, wasn't it?
Big shout out to the Irish.
Solange.
What's that? What is that?
Is it Solange? Is that what they say? I've probably got it wrong.
Is it?
I don't know. Hey, dude,
Is
isn't it? What's the? Is it an Irish thing?
Gaelic for bottoms up?
For a
or?
cheers, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're learning.
Gaelic cheers, pronunciation. Solange. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got relatives who live in Ireland.
There you go.
Ooh.
I've done a decent heads up, and you've butchered their language. But there you go.
It's alright. I can't distinguish what things are in Essex, so let alone in Ireland.
Oh mate, but yeah, I'll have to have some of that for the bonus episode then.
I think so. Oh, don't worry first. I'm having more of this in a minute. How are you though? How are you?
All right, mate. All right. Living la vida loca.
This is genuinely like a how are you? We haven't really we got on. Okay, before we started recording, we got on. We were almost silent, and then we just went right. Let's go. It was it was so it felt like we were straight in with the focus there. So I just want to commend your professionalism, my friend.
Oh, likewise to you, mate. You were.
Thanks, man.
Although you did tell me to start, I started. Then you had to fidget around with your volume, but that's all right.
I didn't want it to be wrong, but anyway, Anyway, dear listener, my wonderful dear listener, thank you so much for tuning in to Don't Be a Hero podcast. We are here again for another review. When I say a review, we have done this already before. This is kind of I wouldn't say it's the first time because we did this with She-Hulk before. We did an instant reaction to She-Hulk when it first came out, and then we actually reviewed it again when we caught up with it in our marathon. But this time round, we are reviewing for the second time, and this is our second viewing of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Oh, okay.
There we go. It's a big one. We've got to squeeze a big one.
This is a big one.
Into the pod. But like I say, we've done it before. We're going to do it again.
You're right, mate.
Yes.
Mid
Yeah.
burp.
I was kind of controlling a burp. So thank you for telling all of the listeners how that was it.
That's what it sounded like.
If you could vocalise your throat at that moment, it's probably like, I'm coming out, stop me, try and stop me, see what you can do. He's suppressing me, poor lady's suppressing me. Okay.
Anywho, we are gonna do this again, and what's really exciting, I think we can both attest to this, is that we're looking forward to seeing whether we have the same thoughts from the review that we gave previously when it first came out. I think when we reviewed it, it was like almost days of its release, and we wanted to give it an instant reaction, which we did, and that was kind of, I think it was an Instagram live, mate. I think we did a non-spoiler Instagram live version. Right. And then we did a spoiler version on top of it later. So it's,
we went bloody Guardians mad, we did.
We did, mine. And for good reason, to be fair, for good reason.
Very good reason.
So I'd be interested to see whether we've got the same thoughts as we did in the previous episode. I've actually got a couple of clips, like we did with the She-Hulk episode, when we rerun the She-Hulk. We have got some clips from the first episode. We're just going to run those back and see whether they're the same thoughts or maybe not, and contrasting, but I've picked a couple out. But yeah, look, I'm really excited to talk about this because I think there's lots more to sort of delve into now. We're kind of in the future a little bit, so we can talk about the future of the Guardians a little bit more. Also, there's loads of trivia out there. We didn't have this type of trivia when it first came out because it was only fresh from the box office. So we've got some trivia to share, but also, more importantly, dear listener, it's about time to listen to Forest Succulent Tones.
Here we go.
Okay, oh, fantastic. Can you do it like that?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, of course, sir. I do feel like this is Guardians of the Galaxy, so I should mix it up with that voice.
I think you should.
In my studio. I'm
Strap in, dear listener, all right?
I'm going to give this a go. Here we go. In Marvel Studios, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, our beloved band of misfits are looking a bit different these days. Peter Quill, still reeling from the loss of Gamora, must rally his team around him to defend the universe, along with protecting one of their own. A mission that, if not completed successfully, could quite possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. As we know them. Oh no.
That was absolute chaos. Wow.
Well, there you go. Because also, that's fine, because I already read exactly the same synopsis the last time, I think.
You did. We've done this before, so we've got to keep it fresh.
We've got to keep it, keep it up, keep it bright, keep it fluffy.
To be fair, Forrest did text, like, I think it was yesterday morning, goes, did you know we've done this before? And I just, like, ran through the episodes and was like, oh my God, you're right, we have done this before. By the way, when are we at 100? I feel like it's next week, or the next episode.
I don't think it is, because you have to ignore Spotify, because I'm not counting the trailer episode.
Oh, okay, cheeky.
So,
so you're doing that, yeah, all right.
I'll show you what I'm doing. If you go to the top of Spotify, which, by the way, as we're mentioning Spotify, please do review, rate, and subscribe on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
So also, I've gone to Apple Podcasts, which is also a platform that we're on. So do go and have a little listen to Apple Podcasts as well. And also, if you're feeling extra little frisky, if you're listening to it on Spotify, why don't you just like go over to Apple Podcasts at the same time? Just play it twice. It's really useful and helpful. But according to Apple Podcasts, to me, it says 96 episodes.
Ooh. So we'll be on 90. So this will be the 96th. Then we'll have 97 on Friday. Then 89, 99 next week. So, guess when our 100th episode is? Easter week.
Oh my god!
There's the holidays.
The holidays. Okay, well that's exciting. That's good to know, isn't it?
Holidays when Jesus was resurrected, or if you're not Christian, maybe it's just time for a chocolate egg and a bunny. And if you don't celebrate that either, just have a nice Sunday.
Oh my god. I can feel the chaos descending. The chaotic gods of podcasting worlds are coming colliding down on this podcast.
Who shall not
How
speak?
dare you review something for the second time?
What are you doing?
Well, we're doing it. We're doing it anyway. Podcast gods, don't stop us.
We're barely doing it. We haven't spoken about the film
Yeah.
once.
I keep going, we're doing it. We're going to do it now. We're going to do it now. Another 10 minutes goes on. We're going to do it at this point. We get to the 50-minute mark and go, yeah, it was good. See you next week.
Yeah, it was good. I'll put it this way, right? Before we go into general thoughts, I messaged Matt after I'd watched the first half an hour, and I messaged Matt going, something like, I remember how good this film was. Mm-hmm. And then Matt came back to me like, you love a Guardians movie.
You bloody do.
And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. This for me is, before we even have to say any more, this for me is the finest finest MCU film. This is top number one MCU, and I don't even care about beating the next hour of a podcast away by saying this is pure cinema. This is it.
Already your take has changed from the previous episode that we've done this movie on. You said it was top 5.
Ooh.
Within those first 5 minutes of our live stream. You said it was top 5 and I agreed. But now you're saying it is the best one. And do you know what, mate? Do you know what?
What do I know, mate?
I have to agree with you. Because, and I've got to say, the second watch, I panged my emotional strings even more so than the first time. Off the bat, dear listener, what this movie achieves is the completion, and I've been moaning about it for, I'll be quite honest, a fair few weeks, as you all know, my friends, all right? I've been moaning about character arcs and characters not being fully realised and the writers not really giving certain characters a beginning and a middle and an end. What this movie does, is that it, with the characters that we know and we love and we have invested all of our hours in through these previous movies, all have rounded journeys, all have a finish with a button, with a bow and with a cherry on top. Every character, down to the, also even like smaller roles like Adam Warlock had like a tiny redemption arc. Every character had a journey and every character finished, and this is what Marvel is about. This is what the MCU is about. This is why we have a podcast and we love talking about the MCU, because we get movies like this and we get a director like James Gunn who has the ability to tell superhero stories authentically, but through science fiction, through joy, through comedy and drama. And he has executed, I've got to say, one of the best trilogies out there. And that is saying something. And that not just within the superhero spectrum. I mean, best trilogies.
It is up there with the Dark Knight trilogy. And that is,
I'd argue it's better.
Tough going.
And that says something for me. Dark Knight's one of my favourite movies of all time. I'd say it's probably better.
I mean, all 3 Guardians films are quality, fantastic films. I look at this film and I think, what are the negatives that we have seen in other films, right? Overcomplicated plots or too many plots. This film, not too many plots, and certainly not complicated plots. Tick number 1. Number 2, as you say, do all characters have a plot? Do they all kind of get tied up with a little bow at the end of it? Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Number 3, this film, I wouldn't say well, certainly not a short film, right? Do you feel the length of the film? No, you don't. No, you don't. Check number 3. Number 4 is, and I mean it when I say this is pure cinema, because what he has done is he has made 3 fantastic acts to this film. We get re-established to characters right at the beginning in a brilliant way, where we get an action scene straight off the bat. Adam turns up, we get an action scene straight off the bat, we see everybody's abilities. That what Gunn did in that scene was expose everyone's individual personality and superhero power instantly. You didn't have to watch any other MCU property in order to fully understand what was going on in this film. We got a backstory for Rocket, which didn't require any other viewing for any other like Rocket-based film or TV series. It had it all. This was James, in my view, going, DC, you made the right choice. That's me done. See you later, Marvel.
100%, mate. This is a movie that also not only picked up the attention from the world, I'd say outside of the MCU, fans outside the MCU, but this was also up for an Oscar a few weeks ago in terms of visual effects. Didn't win because it lost out to Godzilla -1, but this is an Academy nominated movie. This has won Saturn Awards this year as well. Chris Pratt was nominated for Best Actor in this movie, and I really do want us to talk about Chris Pratt's performance in this as well, because I've got a massive thing I've got to say. I'm not going to say it now, but I'll say it later. Against all of the other Avengers out there, the certain story here is quite impeccable. It's got the accolades. It's won awards. It's won loads of Saturn Awards. It didn't win an Academy Award, but it got nominated. It's got the clout, and it holds itself. It holds itself as its own thing. And like you say, you don't need to be a Marvel fan to watch. To fully understand this movie. You really, all you need to watch is this trilogy, and you can enjoy it as that. There are tiny omissions, though. There are tiny, tiny things, which I don't think I mentioned in the first episode, which I kind of noticed. But they're so small. They're so small. What a movie. I absolutely adore it. I adore it.
I think absolutely what you were saying, Matt. I think, look, we are balanced individuals when we come to watching the films and TV shows. As much as we can be, Eternals and She-Hulk is dog shit. But for everything else, we try and keep a balanced approach. And, this is not without its flaws. 2 flaws that I can think of straight off the bat for me, and I wrote them down as I watched it, was for me, not overtly keen with the length of scenes on Oscorp, I want to say, but I know that's wrong instantly. Oscorp, what is it, Matt? Oscorp. Corp. It's where the chip for Rocket is in. They go there in the first place. It's all the guys in the suits and all that stuff.
Yep.
Or Corp HQ. Oh, I can't remember. I literally looked it up.
I got that. You thought that kind of section.
Go Corp. That's it. Yes, I thought that section went on for too long. Was a little bit tedious and didn't drive. It didn't have the drive of the action that all of the other bits of the film had for me. It kind of felt a bit like, okay, now we're getting into like Gag City. It felt to me like the singing land in the Marvels, and like we've had similar planets. That it's when they do that odd kind of left field thing that the MCU doesn't get it right. It's a bit like we just come onto this weird planet for a little bit of a gag, and now we're going to leave and never talk about them again. So
Rachel watched this with me for the first time last night, and that was one of the first things she kind of went, wait, hang on. You telling me that you didn't like the Marvels and said it was a little bit out there and it was trying to be something it's not, and it was a bit, outlandish, and you didn't believe it. You're telling me you believe this, like this weird flesh kind of planet with all of these suits and Nathan Fillion is just like in it, and you've got all these other weird characters, and I was like, do you know what? It's a fair point, and also my counter argument to that is James Gunn made that IP though. That is his kind of not intellectual property, but like that is his USP. That's what he does. He created this kind of scope of comedy for the Guardians from the offset from the first one. So having it wasn't completely jarring, but I agree with you. They went a little bit too far into the ridiculous nature of that section.
And just too long. Like for the nature of what that part of the film for what they were doing, it could have been half that time. Just quickly go through that. That's fine. So now number one, number two. Although I do have a counter argument for what I'm about to say, is Adam Warlock. Is about how they use that character in this film. Although you are absolutely spot on when you say that he did have a clear arc. You know, we had a change of Adam Warlock through this film. However, I would argue this film would have been the same film had he not have been in it. And I don't feel like it was quite having had literal years in the MCU a build up for Adam Warlock. I do not feel like this was a justified entry for that character.
So I think it was kind of a failure within its own making in terms of the character and the story. The fact that Adam Warlock in this movie was supposedly brought out of his cocoon too early. By the High Evolutionary, and this led him to feel like the character is a little bit naive, stupid, a bit of an idiot, and in all fairness, that's what Will Poulter plays the role too. He is a naive, youthful superhero with these ridiculous powers, but doesn't know how to do them. He's being told to do something. Okay, I'm going to go and do that. And then he learns about all these other things that happen around it with love, empathy, joy, compassion, all those things that he experiences, witnesses in third person, and then tries to adopt himself. You can understand the intention with the character. It just isn't executed very well at all, really. I think it could have had a little bit more of an input, because he also just kind of turns up in these kind of high climactic moments in the movie. Like right at the beginning we have this fight with him, and then he turns up again in the middle where he's on the planet on the counter Earth, has all that fight, tries to understand about that, then he turns up again at the end with the same intention of trying to take out the Guardians, and like, come on mate, by this point we need you on board, and then he saves Quill and stuff. So it's a little bit jarring. Maybe it hit the cutting room floor, mate. I don't know.
Yeah, it certainly feels like that. It feels to me that also, if we look at post Guardians 3, it seems to me that James Gunn and Marvel wanted Adam Warlock for the future. So James had to weave him in this film. Now, I would have said it would have been a far better shout to have had Adam Warlock come in right at the end.
Yeah,
and then be like almost none the wiser about how they're going to interpret that character. We just see him actually arrive on the scene, right? And because then that would get you pumped for what's going to come next for him, and give you a little bit of a leeway where Guardians might be headed, or some Guardians might be headed. I feel like that for me would have been a better approach rather than putting him in quite a jam-packed film and not really giving him a lot of time.
Yeah, I think it's such a big role as well. Like, it's like introducing, well, it is. You are introducing a new Guardian, but when you're wrapping up the third Guardians movie, it kind of came almost like you needed to do that in the second one. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because it was so... This is the thing. The reason why it's so good, it was so focused on our classic OG characters, on their character arcs, on their completions. Yes, this was Rocket's movie, and again, it was, and the line is literally said out. For Rocket, this was your story all along. Like, and when the moment you think of that, you're like, oh my god, yeah, he is the captain. He is our guardian, and that makes sense. That all kind of hits. But I think against it all, you have this rounding of all these characters, and you just trying to throw in and introduce a new one. You're like, oh wait, but we're focused on this instead. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of gets left behind a bit. Talking about things that get left behind, right? In terms of a mission, a little gripe that I've got, I actually mentioned in the first episode that I really enjoyed Quill's and Gamora's relationship and their character arc. Now, I'm going to go back on that because actually it irked me a little bit in this second watch. I don't know whether that's just because I felt for Quill and knowing that he knows that that's not his Gamora, and Gamora is like, who the heck is this guy? Why is he obsessed with me? Blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. You get like annoyed for Quill, but also what I sort of found myself, and I'd be interested to know, dear listener, if you feel like this is, as well when you watched it. But when Gamora was in it, and her lack of, and rightly so, complete lack of compassion and empathy towards every person's situation. When Drax is getting injured, where Rocket's almost about to die, she's like, he's going to die, just let him die. And it's like, I literally said out loud to Rachel, I was like, when we were watching it, and she was like, Rocket's at his lowest, he's potentially about to die. She's like, no, just let him die. And like Quill's in the most heightened state. Like, all I wanted in that moment was Gamora just to kind of like comfort Quill. But she was just like, so like, oh no, just let it go. It's fine. Let him just die. And I just kind of shouted out like, fuck you, Gamora. Fuck you. You're not, you weren't there. You weren't there. Why aren't you the other Gamora? She would be like, I think it's just circumstance of the plot that irked me. It's not like I wish it was different. I don't wish this was different. I think I just had a very different experience on the second watch with their relationships, and I felt more empathetic towards Quill. And then I know Gamora had this kind of bit at the even at the end when they turn around to do that amazing action sequence we have to talk about again in a moment. But even then, when they turn around for the No Sleep Till Brooklyn kind of situation, and she's the last burn, and she kind of rolls her eyes, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You've been following these peeps for like absolutely ages now, trying to help them do to this one thing. You're at the final kind of end game of this kind of journey in this mission, and you're rolling your eyes. You're rolling your eyes going into this fight. Come on, we're at the pinnacle now. You've got to be part of the team now. You've got to be part of the Guardians. You can't be turning around reluctantly rolling your eyes. Jesus, like a teenager. Come on. But you know what I mean? I was like, get over it. And it's almost like, at times, we're like, Gamora, nobody's looking. Nobody wants his attention. And the fact she like sits in the ship by herself, and she's like eating all these Zarg nuts and stuff, and trying to like protect Rocket, but she's not looking after Rocket. And then that weird mechanical pig turns up, and then she's just like I don't care. Oh, I'm Gamora, I'm a Ravager, I don't care. It's like, no. That's it.
Nice. Yeah, that's how you feel. Yeah, that's great. I have a theory, right?
Go on.
That has emerged out of a second watch. I think Gamora has all of the memories, and there is a reason that is has not yet surfaced as to why she cannot reveal to Quill and the gang that she is aware of everything that went before. And I'll tell you for why, Matt. Because I spotted something fishy in one of the scenes. And this scene, you remember when Quill's got is talking via the radio?
Yeah.
So they've all got headsets on, and they're talking via the radio. He thinks that him and Gamora are talking, just them two, and it's quite funny. The whole group can hear what they're saying, right? Really great. Now, before that bit, and they're talking, Quill says they are talking about he's basically going like talking about their relationship and how they were together and all that stuff. She preempts his question and says, no, we weren't. Now, how on earth, for someone she has just met, would she know that's what he was about to talk about? She says, no, we weren't, and he hadn't even finished. He all he said was something like, "Do you remember, or do you?" And she says, "No, we weren't." It's the first thing she says in that scene. Now, for me, you wouldn't know what he was about to say if you've just met this bloke. He could have been talking about anything at that moment, right? And she very specifically says, "No, we weren't." Basically, no, we weren't in a relationship, or no, we didn't like love it, whatever it might be about them two. No, we weren't. And I only noticed that this time, and that to me is her shutting this shit down, because she knows everything, but she cannot, like, for some reason, has to make them all believe she has no memory of any of these moments.
Mate.
Yeah, and I implore all of us, I'm going to go back and watch it, because after I wrote that down, I was like, I've got to go back and see it again.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot to. But I implore you, go back to that specific scene. She very much preempts it. And that's three things. That's either like an actual fuck up of edit or writing, which I'd be highly surprised. I completely watched it wrong. Could be the case, or she very. I think that was a very fishy piece of dialogue. She wouldn't have a clue what he was saying.
Do you think that they'll explore their relationship further again in this? Because we're meant to get a Star-Lord movie, right?
Well,
it's not been slated, but yeah.
And that kind of matched up in my mind, because I was like, well, hang on a minute, how would that make any sense if we've got to the end of the Guardians, right? But I remember you and me talking in the end of that film going, well, they very specifically said that there's going to be more Star-Lord material, supposed to be a Star-Lord film. Now, for me, if they're going to do that, right, and you are purposely looking at Peter Quill and Peter Quill only, that's got to be family or love, or it's got to be a very specifically personal story to not be a Guardian story, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that lines up that it could be a Gamora story, in which case my theory could be correct.
I wonder
Gamora,
if that's got...
go search.
Yeah, what do you think, dear listener? Let us know. I think that is potentially got legs for it, because I think that their story isn't complete. I think that the romantic inside me, dear listener, the romantic. I've got to say, the relationship between Peter Quill and Gamora is I would argue it's more of a romantic kind of situation that needs more of a payoff than, I'd say, Iron Man and Pepper Potts. Do you know what I mean? Like I would say this is the ultimate MCU love story, and I think it's got the opportunities of having a payoff, and because of all that was at stake and all that's happened and all that Peter Quill has done and sacrificed and lost, I just want him to have that love back, because I don't think he ever will find anybody like that. And I know maybe people will say, well, that's the reality of it. He lost his love, and that is what happens in the real world. Yeah, I get that, but this is a movie in the MCU. Do you know what I mean? And she's actually there, like a variant of her is there. It must crush him. Oh God!
I've just had a bloody brainwave, Matt.
Go on, man. Go on.
This theory is about to drive me insane. So there was a rumor that this. You see how much I'm ignoring that behaviour there. I feel like a teacher, just ignore it. Just ignore it. It will go away. It will go away. He's had his scotch and he's had his merriment.
Kicking in.
He's kicking in. So, we're supposed to get a Thanos variant in Eternals 2. Rumourville has said, right? I am right about that, aren't I?
You
Thanos,
are
yeah. And that's a Gamora variant. What if Thanos' variant wants the Guardians separated so he can kill Quill? So he has told Gamora, hence why Gamora is like, kill Rocket, she's the ultimate bitch, get them all separated. Yeah, I don't remember you, Quill, you've got no reason to be here still. Separates them all, and his film is about Thanos' variant teaming up with Gamora's variant, kick Quill's ass.
Ooh, I like that. Because it justifies the fact that she was being such a massive dick in this movie.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. Because like I just said, like it confuses me. She's such a massive dick in this movie and doesn't kind of like not be a dick. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of maybe there is an ulterior motive here.
And because them two teaming up with Nebula or against Nebula and then mate, I was like, yes. And that's why she's suppressing all of the love stuff, because she does know that. She's probably been told that by variant Thanos to be like, look, don't you be getting in his pants like you did the first time, Gamora.
Didn't Gamora, like in What If, the What If season finale, I think it was the episode of season 1, What If the Watcher broke his oath when Gamora killed Thanos and adopted like his armor and stuff, and sort of like I think Ultron was involved as well. Maybe that's what it happens. Maybe it's a double cross. Maybe she's like, she goes, yeah, with, you know, she goes back to Thanos, goes, yeah, look, I've broken them up, blah, 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 blah. Then she has a little, not love triangle, but the love confusion. She ends up killing, you know, Thanos herself through it and stuff. That's kind of her destiny in a way. Maybe that's it. Maybe you've just ruined it for K-Dog there.
That's it. It's all done.
It's all done.
All done. Sorted. I've nailed it.
Do you want to listen to some trivia, my friend?
Oh, tell me the trivia with Matt.
It's new. It's a new little section, trivia with Matt. Okay, so this film sets the record for the most makeup.
Trivia with Matt.
This film sets the record.
Trivia with Matt.
And now I'm going to ignore you. I'm just going to let him just be the naughty boy in the podcast room right now. He's had to put himself on mute. Sod. He's laughing like a little child. He's giggling.
Oh, mate. Sorry,
right.
You continue. Trivia with Matt.
This is a good one. No, seriously, this is a good one, okay? So this film sets the record for the most makeup appliances used in a single film, having more than 23,000 prosthetics used across more than 1,000 actors. How flippin' insane is that?
Whoa, and you can just about imagine the amount of hours it took to put out. Like, all of those 1,000 people probably waited hours and hours to get their little.
Isn't that absolutely bonkers? That must have been like, in terms of the crew that were taking that off and stuff. Like, hats off to you. And this again gives us the reason why they're being, you know, they were up for the Oscars, you know, in terms of visual effects and stuff. It really is a feat. Again, you've got to, you know, contrast it against the fact that what we've got in terms of the current output, let's say with the tail end of Phase 4, you know, Quantum Mania, we were talking about the effects feeling very weird and the use of this vision thing that they've got. Also, it just felt, you know, when a movie's loved, you can feel it, you can see it, and you can tell that this is just a project that is loved. And not only the actors are in there loving what they're doing, really investing in what they're doing, but you can see from the backstage kind of side of things, the visual effects artists, everybody that's involved, the prosthetic team, all of this, it's all used with absolute joy. And mate, and it pulls off as well, which is great. Now, do you know what I noticed? Nebula gets a bit of new tech, doesn't she, in her weave arm? You notice in the beginning of the movie, she kind of like well, she uses it throughout, but like, you know, you have this kind of like tunnel that happens in her arm and hand and goes, like fires it out.
It's like a little drill.
It is. Now,
like a power drill.
We don't see it, but apparently this was tech that was made from Rocket to Nebula as a thanks from the holiday special where Nebula gives Rocket Bucky's arm. So as a return gift, he creates this new bit of tech for Nebula, which is pretty cool. I like that. I would have liked to have seen that though in the movie.
Oh, that would have been nice. I did. A small touch that I did like was Nebula spending quite clearly a long time putting the new sign up, only for the sign to be absolutely destroyed by Adam Warlock within 5 minutes. Don't know if you saw that, but that
No, I didn't.
That made me chuckle. So Rocket walks past and they're putting a sign up of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's obviously written in another language. And then Adam Warlock literally comes in and it breaks like clean in half.
Oh yeah. No, I do know. Yeah.
He's just saying yeah, but he has no clue what
No, I do.
I'm on about.
I do.
And that's trivia with Matt.
You know, I wasn't done. There was more. Do you want the epilogue of the
Okay.
trivia?
Hang on. Let's get back into it. That's trivia with Matt. We're back for more trivia. Let's
I can't deal with you.
go. One more, mate.
Okay. So the next bit of trivia I've got. Actually, it's not trivia. Well, is it? No, it is trivia. Okay. Now, do you remember, mate, when James Gunn was very briefly fired before this movie was shot?
Oh yes, I do remember. Yes.
So, James Gunn was fired just prior to starting Guardians 3. Do you know one of the directors that was linked to direct Guardians 3? Guess.
Ooh, I have a smallest feeling.
Okay, wait, dear listener, I'm gonna count after 3 because I want dear listener to be part of this as well. All right, dear listener, I want you to think about what director it is. You might know already, all right? But after 3, everyone, this is like I feel like we're going teachering now. Okay, class, after 3, all right, we're gonna all say what we think the director was gonna be for Guardians 3. Are we ready? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Edgar Wright.
No, it wasn't Edgar Wright. Why the fuck would it? Why would it be Edgar Wright?
I'm sure I remember seeing something about Edgar Wright for this film. And to be fair, it would make perfect sense. A Guardians film be a Guardians Edgar Wright film. You cannot tell me that wouldn't be superb, mate.
Well, no, sorry, Forrest, you're wrong. Actually, no, I heard a dear listener and he got them right. Yeah, did you get it right, dear listener? Oh, look, I can hear them. They got it right. Yeah, it was Taika Waititi.
Oh god, I don't quite know why you sound like you're just holiday repping in Skegness Butlins, mate. That's
because that's what I'm gunning for, mate. I want that to be on my next gig.
Well, hello, holiday campers. Welcome today. We're doing a bit of chair aerobics on the holiday course. All right, hello everybody.
Hello everybody, my name's Matt. We're here to do some trivia. It's quiz night for the MCU. Are you this son from Don't Be a Hero podcast? Aye, that's me. Why did your accent sound weird? Because I've been here in Skegness for so long, I've adopted some weird transatlantic northern southern accent. Question 1.
Question one, which reminds me of me ex Tim, who I divorced 5 years ago. So, can anybody tell me who's divorced in this movie? No one, because I'm the only bloody person divorced. Oh God! That is such. I don't know where that came from. It's the left field thing in the world. Right, cool.
Right, well, let's talk further about a certain performance.
And by the way, sorry, just to go backwards,
Yeah.
Taika Waititi doing that would have been awful.
It would have been. And he immediately quoted, he was like, those are James's films. That would be like going into someone's house and saying, hey, I'm your new dad. This is how we make peanut butter sandwiches now. And I feel kind of awkward. And that is Taika.
Brilliant. Love that.
Which is perfect. But like, yeah, it would have made it. It just couldn't have happened without James. Just thank God. Like again, if this is the only Guardians movies that we'll get, we won't get any more. I'm okay with that because I'm just glad we got the movies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't be sad. Don't be sad it's over. But just be glad it happened. So I like James Gunn. What an
Which is
incredible man.
exactly what I said to me ex too.
Fucking hell, man. Oh, would you like to hear some comments from our previous episode?
I would,
Let's
mate.
take some takes, okay?
Let's do that.
So let's talk about Chris Pratt.
Jesus Christ.
Chris Pratt. Okay, so I said at the beginning of the episode I was going to say something profound about Chris Pratt. Now I don't think it's going to be so profound, but dear listener, interested to know what you think about this, and also, dear Forrest, you too. When we were watching this movie, me and Rachel last night, I found myself being really compelled by Chris Pratt's performance. The level of drama, vulnerability, but also the classic Star-Lordisms that we've learnt to love, really came through. And I think the vulnerability he brought towards the fact that he felt responsible for the injury that Rocket sustained, the life-threatening situation that Rocket was in throughout the movie, he felt responsible for. Even in the moments where he thought he was losing him, that emotion pouring out of him. Also, not to dissuade the emotion that Bradley Cooper gave at the moment where I can't remember. There's the otter that died. Of whom is Sandy? It's not Sandy, is it?
No, it's not Sandy. Keep going with your thought, and I'll cut in.
But that was voiced by
Lila.
That was voiced by Jeremy Renner's, not Jeremy Renner, but Hawkeye's wife. Do you know that?
Oh, yeah. No.
Trivia with Matt. Anyway,
I did. Did you see Howard the Duck come back?
I did, but I haven't finished my point yet.
Oh, sorry. You carry on with whatever the fuck this is, mate. I can't wait. Right. Profound. Oh God.
No, you got me distracted. No, I distracted myself. It's my own fault. Anyway, that bit where I was just saying, it was an aside. Literally, this was an aside. This was an aside to the main point. The fact that I was just saying that Bradley Cooper's bit at the end when he was crying and he screamed out loud. He apparently, according to Rachel, and again, this might be trivia as well. I don't know. I can't see it through IMDb, but I got it from Rachel. She loves reading all the trivia, so I got half of this from her anyway. But apparently, when that was delivered, that scream was delivered, Bradley Cooper had to think about his dad dying. And he let that out of him, and in terms of that vulnerability, and you could feel it. You can feel the emotion. And apparently, when he watched the movie at the premiere, he burst into tears and stuff. But like again, immense amounts of vulnerability that he gave in his performance for Rocket. But I would say that was equaled by Chris Pratt's performance as well, and also with like with him just sharing that vulnerability for the character was something I think gave a new perspective, and I think a new kind of love for Star-Lord. I'm going to say that he's got to be. I prefer Peter Quill right now. My thoughts is that I prefer Peter Quill's story than Steve Rogers. Now that is saying something.
That is saying something for you, Mr. Captain America.
I love a bit of Cap. I love a bit of Cap, right? But I've got to say his story arc against with Steve Rogers is equaled. It spans across a whole lifetime. He ends this movie by trying to figure out who he is. He goes back to Earth to try and find his family. He's been running away all his life, and he decides to go and face that. That is a lifelong thing, and I think a lot of us as human beings on this real-life planet, we can resonate to, more so than Captain America's journey from being somebody that was frozen for a few decades, right? So I would say there's a more human connection to Peter Quill's journey than Steve Rogers, which would then in turn make me actually more, loved to that character. You know, so I love Peter Quill. I'd be really gutted if we didn't get this Star-Lord movie. Gutted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. I think the only thing I would put in there is that I feel like they open up the plot about not Chris but Quill going to drink, right, and about him relying on alcohol, and then they dropped that quite quick.
They do,
and
I
felt that was a bad kind of opportunity there for Marvel to raise quite a genuinely serious issue there, that you can't just drop alcohol overnight and you're absolutely like fine dandy and not require it.
We said the same thing about Iron Man 3 way back when. When Iron Man 3 was going through kind of this PTSD thing. It might have been Iron Man 2, you know.
I think it was Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2. Yeah, it was Iron Man 2. And he was going through his PTSD and the drinking was happening. And in the comics, Tony Stark is a renowned alcoholic and real functioning alcoholic. And it does get touched on, but it doesn't get properly kind of delved into. I think it just goes it goes against the grain in terms of the target audience, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think there is a way to do it that's like acknowledges that, and to be fair,
think they did it well.
Yeah, they did it all right, and it did show like he wasn't on his A game at the start, and other people were severely affected by that. So I suppose it did do it in a good way.
It was at the beginning when they carried him out absolutely passed out drunk, and they were like, again, and they were like, yeah, genuinely concerned as well. It wasn't like, oh, here goes Peter Quill again. Like, you saw the effects, the harsh effects of what alcohol can do to a person, particularly, Peter Quill, who is just a human being, right, living on a planet. I haven't played a clip.
I'm facing the consequences of you drinking scotch for 50 minutes.
I knew you would say that. I haven't had a drink in weeks, by the way, dear listener.
Fucking drinking. I barely bloody get my lips around the alcohol. I barely any alcohol in what I'm drinking. Me and alcohol. We're like two strangers meeting in the night.
Oh, God. Please don't clip that.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, play a clip.
Okay,
what did we say back in the day?
So this is what you said back in the day, and let's talk about, I think, moving on, let's talk about the future of the Guardians, okay? So this is you in our episode when it first came out about what K-Dog might or could do with the Guardians moving forward.
My only fear as we talk, Matt, and please, K-Dog, if you're listening, do not do this, is that because there could be, you might know what's coming. What I'm worried about is that the only other group that are currently in a similar scenario where they're broken up and they're in different places are the Eternals. And by God, K-Dog, if you try and do a film or any series that links even one member of the Eternals with your fucking lead Guardians, I will kick a hole.
You kick a hole where, mate? Kick a hole
God
where?
knows. Find out. Go back to a year ago and you can have a listen.
That's interesting. Because you just mentioned it earlier about the Eternals. And Gamora turning up and having an Eternals 2 with Thanos and a Guardian situation, mate. And you just literally just said it there.
I did.
Not wanting it to happen.
And I think now a lot changed, and interesting that we're having this discussion because recently there's been rumours to say that they've canned Eternals 2. There's been a rumour recently where they've canned Eternals 2 and they've canned another sequel to Captain America. Captain Marvel. Sorry. So I think now my opinion would be that actually the more that was emerging about a second Eternals film, about it having Thanos, they were clearly lessons would have been learned, I think. So I'll be less violent and less kicking whatever I kicked back then if they did bring in certainly Gamora and Thanos and brought it into an Eternals Harry Stylesy world.
I kind of agree. As much as we shit on Eternals, they've introduced a whole team of people, and also we need to see those stories be developed again. Like, fair enough, we had an unsuccessful first movie there. Fine, whatever. You've got an opportunity, I suppose, to integrate it more into the MCU, because the problem for me in that movie, with the Eternals, it felt so standalone, so just out there. It had nothing to do, or it didn't feel like it had anything to do with anything else that was going on. If we've got an Eternal 2 coming, fine. If you amalgamate it with Guardians, you just got to be careful how that's done. And this is the other things what I will say, is that we've just seen these incredible 3 movies from the Guardians. Whatever you do next with the Guardians is going to have the footprints of James Gunn, who is now doing his DC thing. And this will only happen during, by the time we get anything that's new Guardians, we would have had Superman, we would have had potentially the Batman movie, we'll have all these other projects from DCEU that's now coming out. You're going to have massive shoes to fill, mate. I almost would be like, don't touch it, but...
I talking about Superman, I can't wait for Superman. I'm so intrigued by it.
We need to. I think maybe not this week, but on another week we have a designated bonus episode about DC, because we don't talk about it enough.
We do not, and it is on the way. It is emerging.
Oh yeah, it's emerging. It's emerging. I don't feel like we've given this movie enough justice, which in terms of reviewing, but I'm also really glad we've already done it. So, dear listener, what I would say is have a listen to the original review, because it's way more coherent. It's less chaotic, but also it kind of, I think what me and Forrest are really aware of when we spoke about this is that we don't want to repeat what we said in the previous episode, because just go and listen to the previous episode if you want to hear us. Do you know what I mean?
For instance, we haven't spoken at all in this one about Rocket, right?
No.
And well, we have a little bit, but in the last version we did, I'm sure I can distinctly remember us talking about the Rocket storyline for quite a bit. Yeah. I mean, it is fantastic. It's the most heartbreaking thing in a comic book film, I think, ever. I think he justified that so well. The visual effects of those scenes with the animals is insane. Like, I found myself befriending like a raccoon. It's insane.
Oh my god, yeah, literally. And also, we haven't really spent much time talking about the High Evolutionary as well, which
I know we do talk about.
We do talk about in the previous episode. I mean, what an incredible performance! It's the line is, "There is no God. That's why I stepped in." That line at the end of the movie just hits me hard, right in the testicles. It is so good, so good. What a role! And also, that is how you do a villain story as well. Like, you got to look that against the way Christian Bale's Gore was treated. That's how you do it. That's what flipping Christian Bale should have got. It was so good.
But I'm quite happy, and I probably did say something different last year, but I'm quite happy for the High Evolutionary not to come back. I think just keep it in a perfect capsule. That was perfect for me.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Right, let's go. I tell you what, I think we're there with this. It's got to be a rewatch after rewatch after rewatch for me. So if I'm going to give this a rating, crisp rating, going straight in there, I'm going to say this is not just a packet, not even a sharing packet, but like a massive bowl of, what's my favourite crisps? But the thing is, it's so difficult. Like, what does everybody like? Okay, nachos. I like a table of nachos. A table of cheesy nachos with the guacamole, with your salsas, with your everything on top. It's huge. You can share it with your friends. You can get emotional while you're eating it together. You can get deep in your talkings. You can talk about your feelings. You can talk about all this. You can rant. You can rage. You can do all this kind of stuff. And while you're eating these nachos, it's a huge table of nachos. A solid 9 out of 10. Maybe a 9.5. I love this movie.
Ooh. This is top dollar, top dollar. I think 9.5. I'm joining you there. This is a full bag of Tesco's nachos, but the nachos are with a wonderful dip, tara masalata, which is chef's kiss. It's a fishy dip with a nacho-y, Tesco-y base.
Not Ocado.
No, how dare you, Matt? Use any
Tesco-y
opportunity. Tesco base, no, Tesco nacho. Oh, yes, love that. But yeah, either way, this is absolutely fantastic. This is gorgeous, brilliant. Gun's a legend, and I can't wait for his DCEU, mate. I'm all in that.
What are we doing next week, buddy?
What are we? I don't know.
It's our monthly news roundup.
It is, because you do the same joke every month. No. You're like, what we do next month? And I go and find it, and I say it, and you're like, no, it isn't.
No, it isn't.
It's a monthly news roundup for us. Yes, it's yeah. Wow, that's come by.
It's come quick.
That has come quick. That has. And there's quite a lot out there. There's a lot on the rumourville at the moment, as there has been. Like I say, there's a couple of films that have been cut supposedly. There is also. I'm just going to tease this. You may. I don't know if you know, Matt, but Disney have. Outwardly called an upcoming movie by a different name.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, and it just so happens to coincide with my thoughts and feelings a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my god. All right. He's talking about Kang, everybody. He's talking about Avengers 5, all right?
Yeah, so they've removed the Kang dynasty. Just what I thought they would do.
Well, let's bloody talk about that a little bit now next week, I say. And also,
yeah,
there's some stuff about Deadpool we need to talk about.
There's some stuff about Deadpool.
I'll see you next week, dear listener. I love you.